Susie, if there's one draw card to bring me to Port Macquarie from Hobart and miss out on the snow that's falling right across Tasmania tonight, it's you, Susie. Thank you very much. I'd like to thank Uncle Bill and Auntie Marilyn and the Biripi people and honour the first owners of this wonderful continent of ours and the culture which inspires us and the connection with land which we must get back again. And I have the privilege of being in the National Parliament as the leader of the Greens, this small but fast-growing alternative in politics, which is not a ginger group and not a faction of any other party, nor can it ever be, and which is not about keeping them honest and is not about challenging the major parties. If the planet is to have a hope, and this is part of a global movement of green thinking, we have to replace them. And that is the mission that's in front of us. And our determination is that with better policies and with great candidates and entering every election, wherever it comes down the line, that political process that Susie's just been talked about will be transformed. And there is no alternative to democracy and the people taking part in the decision-making process peacefully, except a violent one. And we've seen what a tragic failure for humanity that is. And yet humanity faces collectively, the 6.5 billion of us, headed for 9 to 10 billion within the lifetimes of the youngest people in this room, the greatest challenge in all of its known history. And you know these challenges as well as I do. But nevertheless, the reality of them is rushing on us. We are in the clutches of dramatic, devastating degradation of the only speck in the universe, so far as we commonly know, which harbours life, and through us harbours awareness and the ability to order its own purpose and progression into the future. And we are at the moment on the threshold of destroying it. And not since the dinosaurs went to extinction 65 million years ago has there been such a threat to the living fabric of this planet. But the difference between the big rock which smashed into the planet back then and created effectively a nuclear winter and now is that we know the cause, we're very familiar with it, it's us, and we can turn it around. And the challenge is to be able to, with intelligent humility, collectively transform the thinking of the whole of the human community on the planet so that we achieve that outcome. And this isn't a challenge for us in this room or in this electorate or in this state or in this continent, but for the collective humanity as a community on the planet. And one of the good things about travelling around the planet, as I do quite a bit, and I was at the Global Greens Conference in Sao Paulo, Brazil, population 35 million in one city in April, where 80 Greens parties were together. And the astonishing thing about this, and I was in Caracas just before that, to talk with the Chavez government about my friend Ingrid Betancourt, who was then still held in the jungles and who's since been released. Not due to me being there. But I can tell you now, quite safely, that what I was saying to the hierarchy of the military in Venezuela who had connection with the guerrillas, is that I would replace Ingrid if she could be brought out of there as a bargaining point with the Clark gorillas. But the point here is that Ingrid represents a spirit which is alive all around the world. Run into it in China, in India, in Africa, because it is plain common sense that we have to stop the rapid loss of our opportunity to establish a stable, ongoing, robust, interesting, fulfilling for everybody society on this planet. And that is the challenge of this generation, not some generation coming down the line, because we have created the situation, we know what it is, and we must do it, because they can't come back and undo it further down the line. Which brings us to climate change. I'm talking with folk here tonight. It's no different with talking with people in London or Tokyo or Hobart. Everybody knows that the Arctic ice is melting, that the predictions for 2070 became 2050, became 2030, have now become the reality of 2008. With the greatest loss of ice over the Arctic Ocean last year and this year in all of human history. And if it doesn't happen this month or in September, it'll happen next year or the year after for the first time ever that human beings have been on the planet. I'm not talking about just recorded history, but I'm talking about the 4 million years in which we and our ancestors have been roaming and enjoying and living and loving on this planet. There will be no ice at the North Pole.